Yo, what is going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 425. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez,
Sup, people? How's it going?
Chris Seeley,
Hey, what's up, everyone?
and Carlos Romero. Yo, yo, yo. All right. So we have a diminished crew tonight. You could blame daylight savings times for taking out half the crew members here.
Apparently, you can't blame the farmers anymore because the farmers are just like, we don't know why you do it. We just get up. It doesn't matter the time.
Yeah.
Why are they saying it's our fault? You do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we're just gonna get into it because we got a lot of questions tonight. Lots of questions. So let's get into it. So we're gonna do something a little unusual time. We're actually gonna start with sponsored questions. Mr. Ace Ali is sponsoring some of J Shep's questions. So shout out to both of those guys. So first question here is due to Sony's relentless pursuit to block Microsoft Activision Blizzard's acquisition and Activision Blizzard Microsoft's politically familiar campaign strategically and publicly aimed at Sony, it doesn't look like the relationships will be the same with or without the merger's approval. With biased media outlets that have something to gain or just thirsting for attention, it's hard to know if things are as intense as they seem or if it's just business as usual between these two companies. What are your panelists' thoughts? So yeah, I guess he wants to know, like, because things look pretty nasty between Microsoft and Sony at the moment, so he's wondering if they could ever kind of get back to the place they were before. Because even though you see the fanboy stuff or whatever on Twitter, the companies were fairly friendly with each other, but right now, things have gotten pretty nasty, so what do you guys think? Do you think they could ever reconcile things? I think is a chance because it's not like two Japanese companies going at it. They won't reconcile. Look at Nintendo and Sony. They still hate each other, like all these years later. But with Microsoft and Sony, I think as soon as they get new leadership, I think we talked about this last time. You get new leadership, everything will be squared away,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Chris,
I
what are your
think
thoughts?
that's all it takes. I think most of the kind of griping is really coming from Jim Ryan himself.
Yeah.
I think Microsoft is just treating this as a business transaction. They want to acquire Activision Blizzard. They want Call of Duty, right? And this is just going through the motions. Like, they have extra pain to go through, but they're like, they got lawyers and they have money to handle this. They have plans on how to, deal with the CMA or the FTC and all this stuff. And they're moving full steam ahead. They're treating this deal as if it's done, right? And for the most part, they don't have to worry about the UK CMA stuff. Like, really, I think the FTC stuff is gonna go through. The whole thing is gonna happen. And if the UK doesn't like it, they could just spin off that part of the company and just be like, "Here, you have this shit, and we'll just keep going." For Jim Ryan, it seems like from what leaked, the quote where he's like, "I just want to stop this merger," like, it seems more personal for him, and he's, I don't know. For him, it's like this zero-sum game where he has to stop this merger. I don't know what he promised the Sony board or investors or whatever. I have no idea why he's handling it like this and not like usually you could implement these steps of the lawsuits and go to the CMA and go through all these steps so you get a better deal out of Microsoft. He got that deal. He got like a 12-year contract. He probably could have got more, but
Wasn't it 10? Wasn't it 10? I could be wrong about that.
It could be 10. I thought it was up to 12.
Okay.
But either way, that's a long time, right? And so you got favorable options, right? You argued that, we're going to get an inferior version, or they're going to get exclusivity, or we're going to be timed out of stuff. And Microsoft's like, no, here you go. We'll make sure there's parity and all this stuff. We'll keep it 10 years. You're good. Don't worry about it. Put it on PS Plus if you want. Everything's cool. He's like, no, I don't want that. And it's like, so what do you want? Oh, you just don't want them to acquire this company. And then it's like, well, that's kind of fishy. Why that is, and I think back to what I said on Thursday. I think that he wanted. He wanted Activision Blizzard to get into such a poor state and become so dysfunctional that they either would have had to auction off the IPs, or that Sony could have been in a better bargaining position for Sony themselves to acquire it, and that's why he's doing this. And it is creating some bad blood, but I think unlike Japanese companies, right? Western companies, that bad blood could be solved with a changing of the guard.
Yeah.
Sometimes over a beer, it just would go away. There's not going to be this like 20-year feud or anything like that. No, at the end of the day, when this is all said and done, it would be squashed pretty quickly. And Microsoft's just going to move on. They don't seem like they give a shit
Yeah.
either way what happens.
Yeah, and then just to bring that point home, remember when the PS3 first came out, right? Mr. Gaben talked a lot of shit about that console, saying that Sony should just cancel it, discontinue it, and then a couple years later, he was on Sony stage. These companies, Western companies specifically know how to hash things out. Yes, I understand Sony is a Japanese company, but they're dealing with Westerners. It should be all right. Again, it's not going to be like the feud between. Yeah, but you're right. PlayStation, they're more Western centric these days.
They're considered a global company.
Yes.
Yeah, and every so often, I don't know how they do it, but every whatever time, sometimes they move the headquarters to sort of a different location. I think at one point it was in Britain, or whatever, but it's supposed to be more of a global company. But anyway, yeah, it's silliness.
Yeah. So I think they'll hash things out eventually. So I wouldn't worry about that.
I just think the only thing I think is that they will not get as good of a deal as they would have if they continue to push.
Well, the thing is, and this is something we'll probably bring up a little bit later. They kind of did get a better deal though, because originally Microsoft offered them 3 years. Now they're offering them 10 years. So kind of working in that respect,
But the thing is that they haven't taken the deal. So
no, they haven't taken a deal because they probably want more. But it is kind of working in a way. Hasn't been finalized, obviously. But going from 3 years to 10, that's not bad. But yeah, we'll have to see. But I don't think there's gonna be bad blood permanently between them. Again, train your leadership. You're good. All right. Next up, we got another question here. Microsoft stated that their merger with Activision Blizzard would bring Call of Duty to 150 million more gamers because of a pre-acquisition agreement that Microsoft will develop and publish native console versions for Nintendo platforms. For this to be legally accurate, Call of Duty would have to be developed for the Nintendo Switch. In the panel's opinion, can this be done without breaking the performance parity? If Call of Duty is allowed to be reduced graphically on the Switch, what's stopping Microsoft from graphically reducing it on other platforms? It's a good question. Chris, you want to start with this one?
Well, the only way to have performance parity on the Switch would be to make the game look like it was like a first-gen PS3 game.
Yeah.
There's no way to keep Call of Duty looking like it does now, like Modern Warfare 2 or Warzone or anything like that, and have it run on the Switch. And forget that cloud stuff. That cloud stuff doesn't work on there very well. Except if you happen to be near a server and you only have a few hops, maybe it will work. But other than that, it's not gonna work. Now Microsoft could take that route. They could be like, hey, we'll just put it on Xbox Cloud, and then make a deal with Nintendo, install that on the Switch, and you're good. You just run it off there. And if you have internet problems, well, that's not our fault, right? And then you can have parity because it's running off Azure, and Microsoft can throw as much back-end hardware at the game as is necessary to get it to be like that. That's what I would do. I wouldn't bother developing a Switch version because you're going to have to work around serious hardware limitations, and spend a lot of time and a lot of soft dollars trying to make that game perform close to what is capable now on your Series X or PS5, or your PC. Like you're never going to get that kind of performance out of the Switch without sacrificing a great deal of graphics and whatnot and features. It's not worth it. the what's stopping Microsoft? What's stopping them from graphically reducing it on other platforms?
Yeah.
Well, there's not. They don't have that excuse. So what other platforms like PS5 is capable of handling the game as it is, right? For them to make the excuse like, oh, we have to really reduce its capabilities, like you don't really have that excuse with PS5. With PS4, maybe, right? You'd have to make some compromises, but they'd have to make the same compromises for it to work on Xbox One. So, but with there isn't any other place I could see them making the excuse oh, we have to really work on an independent version that is heavily graphically reduced to be able to have parity. With the Switch, you have that reason. The Switch is so far behind everything else that excuse holds up. Doesn't it hold up if you're saying like they would make that excuse for PS5? No, nobody would buy it. And it wouldn't help their case with what's going on right now with the merger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's my take on it. Like, oh, go ahead, Carlos. Go ahead.
I didn't know that part of the deal was that it had to be native to the Switch platform. I'm trying to search on over here.
Yeah, because again, and that's very important to know because I agree with Chris. You can't get that thing on the Switch. It just wouldn't handle it. The only way you could do that is through streaming. But if you do it through streaming, that's not native, obviously. So we got to look into that word. That word very, very important here.
It changes everything, and it makes it. If you have to, like Chris mentioned, if you have to develop this thing for the Switch isn't a PS4 or an Xbox One or an Xbox Series S. It's even below the PS4 and the Xbox One, so it's even a bigger damper to development on new systems. Because we've already seen a lot of these cases where developers are not going to develop for PS4 and Xbox One anymore because they want to move on and to bigger and better things with the new consoles, and it does take a lot of effort. It's not just how at the beginning of the generation, a lot of folks are just talking about you just scale down.
Yeah. By the way, I'm reading here. Thank you, J Shep. Yeah. Microsoft confirms Call of Duty on Switch will run natively, not through cloud streaming. That's crazy.
Wow.
How the hell are you going to get that thing to run in that piece of crap?
Well,
Well, then that means are they going to do like a put the mobile version there or something? I don't know. I don't know what the intention is with that. That seems crazy.
Well, to paraphrase Adam, somebody smoking crack rock.
Yeah. Nobody's gonna smoke in the crack rock. Yeah, it's that doesn't make sense because let's say, for example, a new flagship Call of Duty game that's going to release on the new consoles is also going to release on the Switch. That just doesn't seem right unless the console versions take a big hit.
Yeah, because maybe they will. Yeah, Siri Network goes. They're going to release all old Call of Duties because they don't say new Call of Duties in here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Or the exact game. It could be like a Nintendo Switch version of Call of Duty. But you know what?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a kind of good segue to Mop Hits' question here, which is also related to this one. He goes, I don't understand the big deal with Digital Foundry and others claiming that the Nintendo Switch would absolutely run any new Call of Duty game like shit. Did people forget that Nintendo has new hardware around the corner and also Microsoft doesn't even own the property yet? With that being said, do you think Nintendo's next system can run newer Call of Duty games? If so, can this be a big game changer with the Nintendo community if the company fixes its online structure and gets rid of the lousy friend code system? All right, so couple questions there. Let's break it down one by one. So, okay, we agreed this thing cannot run on the Switch. It's like, no way, no fucking way. What about the next Nintendo console? If we're kind of going with the way Nintendo has been going, hardware wise, it'll probably be comparable to the PS4. Right? So you can get a better Call of Duty on there, but I don't know if that'll be on par with the PS5 version that's coming up. Like I know we have like a cross-gen version of Call of Duty right now, but by the time this new console comes out, who don't hell knows when it's going to come out? We're going to be very far into this generation already. So I think a Call of Duty game will run better on another Nintendo console, but I don't know if it'll run current gen version of Call of Duty better, or as good. I don't know about that. But what do you guys think?
It's that's a big key. If we're talking about a next generation of a Switch, then I could definitely see it, them pulling it off, because if it's comparable to the PS4, that doesn't really change the way that the status quo is with making games right now, which is just a whole bunch of cross-gen games.
Yeah.
And then that just means that Call of Duty and the people who develop the games aren't going to really, and they don't really do this anyways, but veer off from the stray. They're not innovating anything. Call of Duty Modern Warfare kind of brought and developed the niche and the genre that they created, and they just stuck by that formula for decades now.
Yeah.
Incorporating things like zombies, like Warzone, like all this other stuff that's really was developed, that was made popular by other titles. They just incorporated into their own game. So yeah, I don't, if they release a Switch that's comparable to the PS4 and Xbox One, then I can see them pulling off Call of Duty releases for the next, at least to the end of this generation.
Yeah. Jay Shep brings up a good point, though. He goes, it has to be Switch to be legally correct. I don't know about legally part, but let's say technically correct for 150 million gamers.
Well, this is Nintendo.
Yeah.
Nintendo released multiple iterations of the 3DS, multiple iterations of the DS, Game Boy Color, and all that stuff. So they what they can do, they did the DSi. They can upgrade their hardware however way they want, and then say it's still part of the same line, but just some games are not going to be backwards compatible. They did that with Monster Hunter.
That's true. Yeah.
So there's a precedent with the Nintendo with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's true. So that's how they get away with the 150 million player thing, But yeah, again, I think new hardware is the only way you're going to get a Call of Duty running properly on the Nintendo system. But even then, it's not going to be on par with like current gen, Like the Nintendo, there's no way they're going to release a system that's as powerful as PS5 and Xbox Series. There's no fucking way, They will. Like fucking 10 years from now,
Well, yeah. Well, it's because and the main reason it's good to clarify this. The main reason why they're not going to make a system that's comparable to the current gen is because they're going to keep doing the mobile stuff, the portable console thing.
That's right. Yeah, you already know that the next console is going to be both. It's going to be hybrid, and even though like Steam Deck very powerful. Even that's not on the level of current gen,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. And again, we all know that Microsoft really made that deal just so they don't seem like they're like, have a monopoly, Switch you.
Yeah, that Series Force I saw Switch you. I did, by the way, Logic Wins. I did suggest months ago that's the Super Switch.
Switch,
man. That would be great.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's you mentioned Mob Hits mentioned the stuff with friend codes. Man, we don't even know because we've been complaining about freaking friend codes for literally decades now. So and they still haven't changed that stuff.
Friend codes have been around since the Wii launched. So what are we at 15 years? Friend codes?
Yeah,
I don't see that going away and them doing an account-based system.
They're not getting rid of that shit. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up is, like, would a Call of Duty game even do well on the Nintendo system?
Well, I was gonna say that because like that type of like, not just bro gamer, but those hardcore Call of Duty guys, they need that experience like perfect, right?
Yeah.
They swear by their Xbox and they play for hours and hours and hours, and I'm like thinking, okay, the guy is doing that. He's got it on his TV. He's got his nice, He's nice LG OLED like you guys. He's got his speakers. He's on his Series X. He's talking to his boys. And they're doing like 4 or 5 hours a game. I'm like, I don't see anybody doing that on the Switch. I don't see these guys. That seems like a huge downgrade to be like, oh no, you could just take it to the rooftop and play Call of Duty. Like that the system itself doesn't lend itself to that kind of experience.
Yeah, no, you're right about that.
It's definitely hard to hold on to the Switch and the Mountain Dew in the same time.
That's right. Yeah. Where am I supposed to? Are they supposed to put like Doritos in one cup on the hat and then Mountain Dew in the other, and just have the straws going, just like a slide?
Yeah, the only thing I can say is like with the amount of kids that play Call of Duty, maybe it will be a hit on Switch. You know what I'm saying?
Yay! Put Mario in it.
Death. So maybe go ahead.
I think just because it's Call of Duty is a zeitgeist game and Nintendo consoles are zeitgeist consoles, it's gonna do well.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe not as good as in PlayStation and Xbox, but it'll still do fairly well on the Switch.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. All right, Assyrian Air Force in the house. By the way, thank you for this, man, because people were like, okay, so you guys in the chat were posting, you guys were talking about this video. What's the name of the content creator? Reforge Gaming.
Yep.
Yeah, never heard of this guy. So you guys were talking about this in the chat, and I think it was Jay Shep. He's like, "Oh, Throwdown won't talk about it." I'm like, "We have a question show, sir. If you want us to talk about it, you can ask us about it." So Assyrian Air Force asked us about it. He wanted to get our thoughts, so I threw this video at you guys. I know it's like when I saw that, I'm like, I'm not watching 3 hours. Are you fucking kidding me? But it turns out we only need to watch the first like 27 minutes. So I watched it. Carlos saw most of it. Chris, I don't know if you got around to seeing it.
I did not. I have to plead the fifth on this one.
Yeah. So I saw it, and I don't see what the big deal is about what this guy was saying. He hasn't said anything that we haven't said on Throwdown. And also, and I'm just being real right now, I kind of didn't like his tone. Like it came off very fanboyish, It was like too much. He was too animated about the shit. Like I don't know. Like he just came off like oh, he's trying to defend Microsoft honor or whatever. Like I don't know. I didn't like his tone. But the thing is, he did lay down the facts. And he did do a little bit more research than some of these fucking journalists. I'll give him that. But he didn't say anything wildly like oh my God, no one's talking about. Yeah, everyone's talking about this. It's just the way people are spinning it is different. But if you are not looking at the spin, if you're looking at the facts, you're good. And that's what obviously we've done here on Throwdown. So yeah, Carlos, what's your thoughts? I know you saw 15 minutes. 15 minutes is about enough because this guy kind of started rambling after that.
Yeah, it's I started watching it, and there's one good thing. Remind me about this, but there was one good thing that I got from this, where I'm like, oh, like this is something we haven't talked about.
Yeah.
But it's a minor thing. But yeah, most of the video was just him talking about stuff that we've mentioned.
Yeah.
Obviously, probably not something like from a Brett side or an Adam side, but from our side, most of the people that are here. Or I think everyone from here, we've sort of we talked about the same things. It's the Microsoft painting Jim Ryan as sort of this evil warlord. Shout out to the thumbnail for this show because it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, we mentioned Jim Ryan is doing whatever he can, or freaking to have that huge ass whale to not go to the other side. Is strictly a competition, strictly business type thing. A lot of people on the Microsoft side are painting it as he's a big ass evil dude and stuff like that. No, there's people are desperate to keep the biggest fish on your side, and if there's ever a possibility of losing it, then you got to fight for it.
Yeah.
But the way the guy talked about the whole thing, it just seemed like Tony mentioned it. It just seemed like he was overcompensating for all the Xbox fanboy stuff. He mentioned at the beginning it was going to be like, oh, I'm just going to be neutral. But then I'm going to tell you that I actually don't want this to go through.
Yeah, that kind of killed it for me right there. 'Cause, by the way, real quick, Jay Shep goes, it wasn't that he was saying. It wasn't that what he was saying it's just that he was saying unbiased. No, he was pretty fucking biased. He flat out said, I don't want this to happen. That is already a bias. You know what's unbiased? Here's my opinion. I don't give a shit if it happens. I don't care.
Yeah,
that's unbiased.
I couldn't care less.
I do not care if the deal goes through or not. I only wanted to go through just so people can shut the fuck up about it. But I don't care. That's unbiased.
So we can stop making Jim Ryan and Phil Spencer fucking featured images.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
we can actually talk about some fucking games instead of all the rigmarole going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Well, it's Jay Shep mentioned, why does it have to be biased?
Because it is biased. Because he wants it.
Because he chose a side.
Yeah, he chose a side. Unbiased is not choosing a side. Like me and Carlos, we have no side. We don't care. That's unbiased. So this dude was pretty biased. So that I was like, okay, bro, okay, you can't be saying you're unbiased and go, I don't want this deal to go through. Okay, bro. But I do like his thoroughness. I appreciate that because the problem is you could tell that like one news source picked up the story, and then everybody else picked up that story without reading the original document. So yeah, that's true. It's like, come on, guys, you gotta do your fucking jobs here. But the video wasn't anything spectacular. I was expecting some like crazy bombshell shit. Like, it's just some dude who really doesn't want this deal to go through.
Yeah, and there wasn't anything that I'm like, oh, I disagree with him on that. Nope, not really. I kind of agree generally with most of the stuff that he said. From what I
don't disagree with anything he said. I don't disagree. But not I don't disagree with any of the facts he put down, I should say,
Yeah, exactly. I do want to mention one thing that he mentioned that was pretty I think the most important thing that I watched throughout the video is that he mentioned that Sony accounts to 30% of the revenue for Activision on the Sony platform, PlayStation platform. That's pretty fucking big.
Yeah.
So, any of these things thinking about Activision, whether they're going to pull out from or Sony or have bad ties if Microsoft ever acquires them, it's going to be pretty freaking difficult because PlayStation is a cash cow for Activision. So it is what it is. But yeah, like what the guy mentioned in the video, with the factual stuff that he proposed, I don't really have anything that I disagree with necessarily. I just thought that he approached it in a way where it's like he sounded fanboyish, and that kind of turned me off. So I'm like, all right, well, I know where kind of where you're going at, but you're not really telling me anything new.
Yeah. Real quick, Jay Ship goes, Tony just said he wants it to go through, but that doesn't make him biased. Selective hearing. Did you not hear what I said? I'll repeat myself. I said the only reason I do want it to go through is so people can stop talking about it. That's half joking, half serious. But I just said 3 times, I don't care. I don't care if it really goes through. That's my honest opinion. I don't give a shit whether Microsoft buys it or not. I don't care.
Now,
I am tired of talking about this fucking story for a whole year. But again, just being fair, yes, the only reason we have to talk about the story is because there's no fucking games. But I am sick and tired of this fucking story every single week. That's me being biased in that respect. I'm tired of talking about this shit. But at the end of the day, I don't care if Microsoft buys Activision or not. I do not give a shit. I don't play Activision games. I don't give a shit. I don't remember the last Activision game I even played. I don't care about that company. I do not give a shit. But this dude clearly does. He flat out said, I don't want this to happen because I think it'll hurt the industry. You don't know that, Anyway, go on, Carlos.
Yeah. And for the similar reasons why he mentioned how do people know that some of the stuff wasn't going to happen on the Xbox side, which is fairly true because, all they care about is their bottom dollar. That's all that matters to these companies. And yeah, he was right. They don't care about you or what necessarily is best for the gamer. They care what's best for their pockets.
Yeah.
And that's just everyone. That's, when, we preach this at this show, no one, these companies don't care about you. They care about, they care about making as much money as possible and trying to find a way to edge their competition.
Yeah.
Microsoft it's paying $70 billion for one of the biggest IPs and with a couple of others that are pretty big. And for Sony, it's to try to fight this deal.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah, that's all it is. J Shep goes, he doesn't want consolidation from either company. Yeah, no, I get that, and that's fair. I understand that stance, but that's a bias, Remember, bias doesn't have to be negative or positive. It's just, you're leaning one way or another. It's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like talking to a libertarian and then asking, do you value, do you like going to war? It's like, well, we know he's biased because he always thinks it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Or something like that, whatever libertarians think.
Yeah. Chris, any thoughts on this? I mean, you didn't see the video, so I don't know if you want to chime in on anything.
No, I have to defer to you guys. I did not see what this guy said.
All right.
I mean, I agree with what was said.
I do agree with all this.
I agree with what I said. Yeah. Good stuff. And by the way, guys, no Brett, no Brian, because of daylight savings time. So blame that, the time.
No Adam because daddy duty.
Yeah, because daddy duty, But seriously though, thank you for posting the video. Thank you for putting it to our attention. I think it was a good. I think I like how thorough the dude was. So good on him, for doing that.
3-hour video. That's
3-hour video. That's power right there. Shout out to him. Doing his thing. Yeah, go ahead.
I do want to mention something else about his video is, and I do appreciate him going through all the articles, specifically the Xbox fanboy site articles.
Yeah.
Because a lot of so-called journalists are taking a stand.
Yeah.
And then and they're taking a stand for Microsoft, and the way that they paint the picture, the way that they're reporting the news is they're trying to paint a picture that Sony and Jim Ryan is evil. And that's I do agree that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and I'm glad you bring it up because again, this is something, Carlos, you and I have said many times, right? Because I do think the way Jim Ryan is going about this is pretty shady. But if I was Jim Ryan, I'd do the same fucking thing.
Oh, hell yeah!
I'd do this. I'd be doing every single thing he's doing. Because if you run a company, you want to do what's best for you, what's in your best interest. And like we said before, think about what happened, right? The original deal was 3 years. They got it up to 10. You wouldn't have gotten that if you just went, okay, sure,
Mm-hmm.
So if I was Jim Ryan, I'd do the same fucking thing, So I totally get where he's coming from.
Yeah, Sony doesn't have $70 billion.
Yeah,
and like Chris mentioned, if their strategy was to try to get them to spin off eventually, that didn't happen because Microsoft said, "Hey, we got a treasure chest here. You're part of us now."
Yeah,
and that's hard to combat.
No, you're right about that. And this is something that the dude brought up that I didn't know about. Basically, Sony, and I think rightfully, wants more concrete language about parity because apparently the way it's written right now, it's kind of wishy-washy. Basically, apparently it's just happened on Twitter. It's not even written. It's like, yes, we promise to have parity, but it's not written down in the actual contract yet. Do it again. If I was Sony, I'd be like, no, you write that shit fucking down now, So I totally get that. Again, I understand where both sides are coming from, But yeah, no,
Microsoft's like, can we handshake on this?
Like, can we do a handshake? Scout's honor. Like, no. Yeah, no, because Microsoft's trying to be slick. But again, that's what these companies do.
Yeah.
It's interesting, man. All right, good question there. Moving on here, another one from Mr. Assyrian Air Force. Okay, if Microsoft completes its purchase of Activision, what stops it from buying EA, Ubisoft, Take-Two, etc.? FTC.
Money.
Yeah, money's another one. But I after this, when I tell you 1 hour later, here we go. Happens every year. What's going on, Brian?
Nothing much. I guess the farmers got me this time.
They got you again. Oh man, that threw me off. Oh yeah, okay. So it would basically, yeah. Listen, I think after this, Microsoft is not actively going to go after anybody. Look at all this shit that happened. You know,
They're not going to be actively visioning any other company
yeah,
acquisitions.
yeah. They're not going to be like, oh, we're not buying nobody right now. We're good. You know, they want the heat. Basically, like let the heat die down a little bit. You know.
Well, they're the only thing that Microsoft, I would see Microsoft, other than small studios are probably
Oh yeah,
still
yeah.
kind of pick off, as well as Sony.
Yeah, but he's talking about the big guys here. He's talking about like what about what you know. He specifically asked what's to stop them from buying EA or Ubisoft or Take Two or whatever.
Well, there's definitive answers for two of them, or for at least one of them. Ubisoft, I feel like it's not going to be worth the money to buy.
Sorry, Adam.
The Division can't hold it up. Well, there's a couple of stuff. EA is an interesting one. Take Two would probably be the one that I would be most interested if I was Microsoft, but they still have to let it all die down because they just spending 70 billion even for Microsoft that obviously has the money, it still does take a lot. Phil going to the CEO of Microsoft saying, or the CFO or whoever part of the fiscal stuff, and he goes like, "Hey, can I have can I have 7 billion for Bethesda? Sure. Hey, can I have 70 billion for Activision? Sure. Hey, can I have 40 billion for Take Two?" And it's like, well, first they gotta see the fruits of the labor of buying the other companies. It's not really that fiscally responsible to just keep buying stuff without getting the results.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. And that's a question we have for a little bit later on too. But Chris, what's your take on that? What's to stop them from buying all these other companies?
Like the points made were very good. First of all, the FTC would red flag everything you do here on out. If EA came or let's say Ubisoft, they're in more dire straits, came tomorrow to Phil Spencer like, hey, we need a fucking buyout. You could buy all our stuff. We'll negotiate whatever price you is reasonable. That's fine. We just don't want to fold. I want my golden parachute. Yves is like, I'm going to retire. I'm going to eat baguettes the rest of my life. I need it. So just buy us out. And if Phil went, yeah, okay. Right, and he got a budget from Microsoft. You don't think that the FTC would be like, "Yo, motherfuckers! You just said you weren't doing a monopoly. You just acquired another major publisher. That's not okay." They just red flag it immediately. So, and it's not worth that fight to try to buy those out. In rapid succession, because, like Carlos said, you have to have a return on investment. Acquired studio after studio. Starfield ain't even come out yet. So if they go and buy EA and it's like, well, where's your first Bethesda game? Oh, it's underway. Don't worry about it. That would look terrible, especially if the game bombs. Also, yeah, there's a monetary thing. I'm for sure, even though Microsoft has huge pockets, Xbox by itself as a department is only going to get such a budget, and it's like, you really have to justify. It's like, EA came to us, they're looking for a buyout, or Take Two's looking for a buyout. Like, all right, slow down, Phil. All right, maybe one a year. All right, buddy. All right, chill out. So they would probably be rejected on the corporate side of Microsoft anyway. And Carlos made a good point. It would be more worth it to let Ubisoft fold and have to do a THQ and then just go buy up the IPs when they get auctioned off. That'd be way cheaper, and nobody could contest it. There's no monopoly thing going on. Hey, Microsoft bought the Division, and I don't know, Rayman. Nobody's gonna say like, "Hey, that's a monopoly." What's Jim Ryan gonna say? He can't say shit.
Yo, if Microsoft buys a Division, someone go check on Adam.
Yeah, right.
Because that's Adam will be in cloud 9 if that happens. But yeah, Chris makes a great point. Getting those spinoffs, they don't have as if Microsoft acquires Assassin's Creed, it's not going to have the same blowback that it is getting Ubisoft. And it's much better just to get those IPs anyways, because a lot of Ubisoft might not even be worth getting.
Yeah. I'm reading the chat right now. Yeah, no, I think you're right. It's like it's not going to be worth getting all this stuff, and I still maintain they're going to let the heat die down. You know, they're going to buy any big notable ones for a while. You know, but you know, but there's again, we there's another question that's coming up that kind of ties into this. All right, Kishak. Next question. All right. In regards to the Activision Blizzard deal, a common argument I hear is that it would enhance competition and narrow the gap between Xbox and PlayStation. However, looking at history, we can see that during the sixth generation of consoles, PlayStation dominated the market without facing allegations of being anti-consumer. In fact, they even reduced the price of the PS2 to $199, which they could have easily maintained at $299 for the entire generation if they were not acting in the best interest of consumers. I believe that when PlayStation was leading the market, it was at its most competitive. Therefore, do you think that a similar outcome will occur if PlayStation dominates this generation once again? All right, got a bit to unpack here. During the PS2 era, when PlayStation had no competition, that's when we probably got the most amount of shovelware, you know, because where else are we going to play your shit? You're going to play on PlayStation, you know, so we got a lot of dreck there. Obviously, competition ramped up during the PS3 era. But again, Sony dominated last gen. Not as much shovelware as before because, you know, games geared were either AAAs or indies for the most part. Shovelware was kind of weirdly in the middle, which we don't have those anymore. So we already saw Sony dominating 3 times if you think about it. PlayStation 1 was dominating that generation. PlayStation 2 dominated. PlayStation 4 dominated, right? Yes, PS3 technically won at the end of the day, but it didn't dominate like that. So we were already seeing this happen. So there's not really a hypothetical going on here. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this generation, they're also winning. And I think, you know, unless something crazy happens, they're probably going to dominate again. You know, so I don't know if that's going to generate more competition, as you say here, because we've already kind of seen it happen, you know? And Sony was arguably at their hungriest during the PS3 era when they had to be, you know? So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. We already seen it, so you know, there's no hypothetical here, man. It's probably gonna happen again, you know? But I don't understand that the part where he says that they were at their most competitive when they were at the top. It's like, but we had 3 generations of that then. So
well, we that's arguable. I think when it was at its most competitive was during the PS3.
That's what I think. That's what I think. Yeah,
because they barely outsold the 360, and the Wii was the number 1 selling system, and that's the most competitive, and that's probably one of the best generations to ever come out.
Yeah, yeah. So that I kind of don't agree with that premise. The PS2 era was the most that it was the most competitive for it. No, it wasn't. It was just doing whatever the hell it wanted.
They dominated. Yep.
Same thing with PS4 era. They're like, all right, PS1 era as well, you know. But yeah, I think their best, not best, but their most competitive generation was the third one for sure. You know, PlayStation 3, but PS2 that was still probably the best PlayStation era overall, though. But when PlayStation 3 was losing at the beginning against 360, they didn't go buy 2 big publishers. They didn't have the money for it, you know.
Yeah, and Microsoft and Xbox was fairly new, so they didn't. They didn't, you know, Microsoft they didn't have the leeway to ask Microsoft for that much money in the past.
Yeah, Xbox, yeah.
Yeah, they would have bought Bungie outright. They would have bought BioWare.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the stuff it was, you know, for the people like me and Adam that were huge 360 fans, that was what we wanted. We wanted them to buy BioWare. We wanted them to buy Bungie. Never happened.
Yeah. I don't think we need to expand on this too much. All right, Kishak, next question. I'm no betting man, but when it comes to critical reception, sales numbers, and the court of public opinion, between Spider-Man 2 and Starfield, which horse are you guys betting on being the biggest winner during the holidays? Ooh.
The holidays?
Yeah, like which one's going to sell more, basically?
I think Spider-Man.
Yeah, just because it's Spider-Man. Yeah.
Spider-Man,
Yeah. Like Starfield, if it's a really well done game and it has like, you know, Elden Ring level of like, you know, hype and shit, it'll do very well too, you know. But Spider-Man's going to be hard to beat, you know. That's going to be very difficult to beat.
It's much easier for Spider-Man because it's an established IP, a super popular established IP with a studio that already established that they know how the hell to make a Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
They already made two good ones,
Yep.
or great ones. So it's making a third one for Insomniac. It's not going to be that hard for them as it is for Bethesda to create Starfield from scratch.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure if Brett was here, he'd have different thoughts, but no.
Oh, yeah,
Spider-Man's dominating, man. That's gonna be it. I mean, against those two games, yeah, that's Spider-Man for sure.
Yeah, just make my Applebee's argument.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. All right, Villa Kyle got a question here. All right, Xbox offered PlayStation Call of Duty day one on PS Plus. Okay, so yeah, we talked about that. Currently, to play Call of Duty on PS, you need to buy the game and pay for the PS Plus subscription. We know from previous reports, PS gets the highest dividend of any platform of COD sales. Basically, COD sells more on PlayStation. If they accept this deal, they essentially lose these sales because if you have PlayStation Plus, why buy the game? If they don't take this deal, they lose the basis of their argument that the deal would hurt their consumers. Did Xbox just outmaneuver PlayStation and put them in an unwinnable situation? Interesting question here.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
I don't think so because Microsoft. I don't think, and I mentioned this the day that the deal happened. I said if I was Microsoft, I would make this an exclusive altogether just for Game Pass. But they don't have the balls to do it because this game makes too much money for Sony through a Sony system. Most of the money that Call of Duty, like Tony mentioned, most of the sales for Call of Duty are on PlayStation. So Microsoft and Activision don't have the cojones to make this exclusive because they know how much potential keyword on potential revenue they would lose. But so that means that Sony has some sort of leverage in everything because they are the number one producer of money for Activision right now.
Yeah, for sure. So it's going to be interesting. I like the question, but yeah, I don't think they're in an unwinnable situation, and I don't even know if they had the foresight to think about that, But I do want to ask, like, what do they mean by Call of Duty Day One on PS Plus? Like, just
he said. Oh no, actually, maybe I misunderstood. But the way I understood it is, if you want to play Call of Duty, you have to buy the game and have PS Plus because you can't play it online.
Yeah.
If you don't have it.
Whereas with Xbox, obviously, you have Xbox Game Pass, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So ironically, Call of Duty is a vehicle for people to subscribe to the PlayStation service because people want to play that game online.
Yeah.
And you literally can't play online if you don't subscribe to their service.
But if you have it on PS Plus, it would be like you just get a day one on PS Plus. Like, is that what they mean? Because that doesn't often happen. Yeah.
It depends. It depends on which. Are we talking about PS Plus, the tiered system, or are we talking about just the regular online?
I thought it meant that, like, you get your free games every month.
Yeah,
so the month
Call
of Duty launches. Yeah. That's what I interpret it as. Like, day one PS Plus to me meant, whatever. If it launches November of this year, November lineup for PS Plus would be like, the new Call of Duty game is on there for free. Like, just add it to my library. That's what I thought it meant.
Interesting. I didn't think about it like
so. Just like Game Pass, I have PS Plus. I just get the game.
Yeah, that's what I thought they were talking about too. I just wanted clarification on that.
Yeah, that's what I interpret as.
Yeah, you know how like was it Rocket League? You know how that was on PS Plus and shit. Like that's what I thought it was gonna be like that. That would be interesting. But yeah, we can't say for sure.
Oh, so I can read the article because he linked an article.
Okay, yeah, it's right there. Yeah,
this is from Video Games Chronicle. Microsoft confirms it will let Sony put Call of Duty on PS Plus on day one. Streaming and subscription parity is included as part of the company's 10-year offer. Microsoft has confirmed it's offered Sony the option to put future Call of Duty games on its PlayStation Plus subscription service on day one as part of a bid to appease regulators' concerns at its proposed Activision Blizzard acquisition. So apparently, I didn't know this actually. It's for the streaming service that they offered at day one.
Oh, so even PS Now you can.
Yeah.
Wow.
Damn, they really are giving them a lot. Shit.
Well, here's the thing: PS Now is now PS Plus.
Oh, the one of the tiers, right?
Whatever. The fuck
one of the tiers. Yeah. I don't know. I'm bad with those because I'm just subscribed to the regular one.
Yeah,
one that just lets you play online and stuff. But yeah, I didn't know this. This is a good article. Thanks for posting it.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, let's move on here. Okay, I think now we're finally going to get into some other type of questions.
Real quick,
what's up?
Before we get to that question, and a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, like we don't know the ins and outs. Maybe there's some gotcha stuff from either companies. So a lot of the detail, a lot of the devil's in the detail with these kinds of stuff, and we're not privy to any of it.
Yeah,
we just get the headlines, the articles, and just the sort of what do you call it? The things that Jim Ryan and Phil Spencer sort of say. It's like, we're offering them a 10-year deal. But when you say we're offering them a 10-year deal, there's just a whole bunch of stuff that comes with that. A lot of detail that we don't know. And it's, it's a mess. It's not as easy as just like, hey, they're just offering them 10-year deals. Like, well, is there a catch?
Yeah. J-Shep goes Throwdown, but it's blocked the public from seeing the contract. Does Microsoft have any obligation to show this contract to any people? I don't think they do. I could be wrong about that.
I wouldn't think so.
No, they're not under any obligation to release that. So they're not doing anything wrong in that case. Most of the time, you don't need to disclose these things, to the public, just to whoever is involved in interested parties. So I wouldn't look too much into that. All right, moving on here. All right, so we're getting a little bit more into generalized questions here. Some people say that video games online especially are adding to people becoming removed from the real world, like social media. Some also say they are bringing people together. I'm sure it's a combination of both. My question is, are video games a net positive for human societal interaction or a net negative?
Damn.
It's a double-edged sword, just like anything in life, right?
Yeah.
It will introduce people to other people, but it would also make other people who are more have the tendency to pull away from society just be fine with virtual interaction. So
yeah, because if you want to look at both extremes, right? On the one hand, you have people that literally found their significant other by playing online games, and on the other hand, you have dudes that died at internet cafes because they just played a game for 24 hours and didn't eat or take a piss or nothing. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's like Manny just said. It's too extreme. It's both. It's a net positive and a net negative.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, like anything in life, right? People will just gravitate towards certain things on whatever end there is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything can be detrimental to someone. It's you can like Tony mentioned, you can find your significant other, or you can find your stalker or your killer or whatever. It's crazy, but you can do that literally doing anything. Mental health issues.
That could be just you walking down the street.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay.
And it's like, there's a lot of stuff that it comes with. It's like, video games give you like mental health issues because you're not interacting with people in the real world and stuff like that. That's true. But also, dealing with people in the real world can give you some serious shit too.
Yeah, man.
So, no. Crazy stuff, man. It's just, being able to, it's not much about the medium. It's much more about how to best handle all of these situations. And that's just life.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, it's not a positive or negative. It actually, yes, it is. It's both. Depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Moving on here. Mob Hits, who's in the chat tonight. All right.
Yo.
Is Game Pass the best place for AAA developers to dump their experimental IPs on? It's a good place to for anybody to dump their experimental stuff. I would say, not just AAAs.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing that's the question because of like something like a Hi-Fi Rush, right? Throwing it on there. But if you think about it, Hi-Fi Rush is not really a AAA game. If you look at the original price of that is a middle A game. That is a $40 game. So
yeah, it depends. It depends because I guess the key word is AAA, and that it insinuates that it took a lot of money to make. So by that means, I would say no. Yeah, it just depends. It just depends on what type of game it is. If it's something that you're banking on making a whole ton of money from, then I would say probably not. But if it's something that you wanted to give it an exposure that you feel like it wouldn't normally get, then I feel like Game Pass would be a great platform to do it in.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what it's for, right? So yeah. All right, moving on here. Jay Shep in the house, man. All right. Starfield has now been delayed for almost a year. Many will say, I just want them to get it right. Instead of asking the tough question, how in the world could Todd Howard, who has been making games for almost 30 years, not know this game is a year from being ready? What are the panel's thoughts on this? Manny, I'm going to go straight to you because you have a little bit or a lot of insight into game development. And specifically, that whatever your original idea may be for a game may change throughout the course of things.
Yeah, the thing about it, it's not like film scripts, and even a lot of film script. Film is not even like it isn't like that. The thing that you set out to do isn't always exactly the same thing that you end up with. So the reason why Todd Howard doesn't know exactly when all of this is happening is because he doesn't. All he is looking at is getting the game done, and whatever time it takes, it's going to take, right? So, who knows? The Starfield could have started out of something totally different, and then, and then just turned to something else. And then I think, isn't this also one of the first? They're simultaneously developing a new engine as well as a new game.
Yeah.
Isn't that what's going on here?
Yeah, but by the way,
So
but what you're
it's
saying,
double-
what you're saying actually applies to most games in general. I want people to understand.
Yeah, no,
that.
it's most. Yeah, most games are like that. It's like not everything not everything is always set in stone. You don't always have everything all written up. You could literally develop a whole game and then just have to scrap it because it's not working, and you have to start over again. So again, it's like. There are definitely clean situations. I feel like if you were talking about smaller games, we'll go back to Hi-Fi Rush. I'm sure what they started out with is pretty much what they ended up with because it's such a sort of a smaller experience. But again, we don't know that. They could have went down one road and be like, you know what, this is garbage. It's not working. We got to do this again. So no game is, and especially with how complicated game development is now. Now you got to think about it. A lot of people take this stuff for granted. It's like you literally got to think about if you have people in the game, right? You have to figure out what things a person can do. Essentially, how the rigging on that person works. Whether they can take off their hat or if they always have their hat on all the time. There's a whole line of different stuff that on top of the things of developing a game. There's just it's besides just making sure that your character can walk around. So it's a lot of different things, and obviously nowadays you are seeing these things more. You're seeing these what's happening more because again, as the games get more complicated, more things have to be thought about. Yeah.
No, J-Ship goes that that's hard to believe. No, that's how game development is, man. Like,
That's how That's how game development is. It's always been that way. The only difference is that the games were smaller. Like, again, you can have a totally complete video game plan, right? But it may not end up working because something in the engine is not working correctly. Something they can't do this type of world. It's not just a matter of like, oh, just make a good game. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Again, I'll say this to you: as much work goes into a good game goes into a bad game.
Yeah. Yeah,
there's no difference.
Nobody sets out to make a bad game,
Nobody ever sets out to make a bad game. But again, you could have a situation where, okay, let's say you did follow the game plan, but that game plan and all the way to the end, but that game plan ended up not being the right direction for the game, and then the game bombs. So it's a lot more nebulous when it comes to these sorts of things. The only part that's not nebulous is the programming side.
Yeah.
Where it's like these things have to work.
Mm-hmm.
Or work within a...
Yeah, and that's something I wish people understood, because you always say, like, oh, it's like a movie. They make those materials. Yeah, but that's a movie. That's different. It's not like making a game.
No.
Making a game is way more complicated,
And then you're finding out, and even more with movies now, with like now you're seeing situations where they're literally like, oh yeah, we filmed this whole movie in less than in a month, but now we're doing reshoots because there's problems with it. So that even more in the film industry, things are becoming more nebulous, and they're thinking about changing and switching things around.
And then that gets more complicated when you have VFX guys involved, and you start changing shit at the last minute.
Yeah, you start changing things at the last minute. I'm looking at you, Ant-Man.
Yeah, if game development was so smooth, Hassan would have came out with his game already.
Oh shit!
Exactly. That guy's not a seasoned developer, but even seasoned developers have these sorts of issues. They run into these walls. It's a thing that happens. And I feel like as games get more complicated, these things will happen more and more.
And I have to give them a bit of leeway. If they really are making a new engine, then when that team puts that engine in front of the Starfield guys who are coding all the stuff that Manny talked about, and they find all sorts of shit wrong with it and have to send trouble tickets back to the other team, like, yo, I tried to launch a ship out of here and the shit glitched out or whatever, or this happens, you open up these bug tickets and it has to go back. You have to wait for those guys to fix it, QA it, and then send it back to you so that you can finish the piece you're working on. It's really complicated to get that, and then make a timeline based on what you promised.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's part of the reason why a lot of companies have just stopped developing engines for their games, because in general, like, it's at least with an Unreal Engine or a Unity engine or any of the other ones that are on the market, it's all waiting for you, and all your QA is done by the company. You send it back to them, and they're like, oh yeah, we fixed this, and that's what their deal is.
Yeah. So again, this isn't us making excuses for Starfield. We just want you to understand how game development works. Because I personally do find it irritating when people go, "Oh, just make the game." It's like, no. It's not like making a movie. It's not like making a TV show. It's not like making a fucking cake. It's a little bit more difficult. We just want people to understand that.
Like, here's the thing. Like, I know it sounds like archaic, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like, oh my God, if you're making a book, you're making a movie, you just go straight through and you just do it. And, even with books and movies, it's the same sort of way. It's just the amount, because there's not so many.
Why do you think we don't have The Winter? That's a book. Look how long that's taken.
That guy, he's taken longer than any game to make that game, to make that book.
Yep.
His development time is like ultra nebulous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I say in that case, it's just one guy. It's not like 1,000 people. Like
it's not like 1,000 or 200 person teams. But it's again, the look at the type of games that Bethesda develops, and look at their how big their team is. There's a lot of factors in that, you know.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people think, oh yeah, you just throw bodies at it and it'll fix it. You know what that is? Well, that's what you get. You know what you get? Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
You know, and they are a situation where they didn't know where they were going when they initially went down that line. And how long did it take them to develop that game? What was it? The idea that they said that it was only like 5 years away from the, or less than that Cyberpunk actually started to take shape or something like that.
Yeah, like they are not, like if you take it all in totality, it was close to 10 years, but active development, it was about 4 years. You know.
Yeah.
And that changed a lot too. You know.
Yeah, even within those demos that they showed, right? They showed those supposed demos where you're able to do all these different things that you can't do in the final game. You know, how many times have you seen trailers like that where it's like, you know, like or those on stage demos, right? You know, or like, you know, the Call of Duty games, and they're doing all this stuff that seems really dynamic and all that stuff, and then you look at the actual game, you're like, wait, where'd that go?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of examples going back and forth. I mean, ask where's Skull and Bones.
Yeah.
Ask why it took, you know, why Duke Nukem Forever took 13 years.
Right.
You know,
forever.
forever. You know, it's like there's all these examples, and it's like, well, that's the nature of the beast. There's some other problems too with those games, like Duke Nukem Forever. I wouldn't even get into that shit. But like Skull and Bones, like I want to go to Ubisoft, be like, what the heck? You made a pirate game already. What is happening?
Yeah, and then, you know, where's Deep Down? You
Where's
know,
Beyond Good and Evil 2?
Yeah.
You know, it's all these things. Where's Star Citizen?
Oh god.
yeah.
Where's the agent? Where's the agent, Brian?
Yeah, we can name names, man. You know,
We're scale bound.
yeah,
We should ask Microsoft about that one.
Oh, Uncle Phil buried that shit.
you know.
It's out of here.
All right.
crazy.
Good stuff. Good question. All right. Another one from Mr. J. Shep. All right. With Forza Motorsport more than likely missing its June release and Starfield being delayed for the third time, and who knows if we'll ever see Stalker 2, Xbox's 12-month release calendar is no longer valid. My question is, when are we going to start holding Microsoft accountable and call out their mismanagement for this generation? If Microsoft can't manage the studios they already have, why are we rooting for them to acquire more studios? I don't know who you're talking to, man. Nobody around here is rooting for them. Maybe Brett, you know, but definitely not the guys here. And we've been calling Xbox out since day one, man. Especially this generation. No, where's the fucking games? You know, like, say what you will about PlayStation, at least those games, even if they are on PlayStation 4, they're still new IPs that are exclusive, right? Xbox doesn't have anything like that yet this generation. You know, we've been calling those motherfuckers out forever, you know? And it's interesting because they had this like 12 month plan. It's like, yeah, none of these games came out, which is crazy, you know? So yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on this? Forza and June, is that game usually come out during the fall?
That's when it usually comes out.
Yeah, that shit ain't coming out in no June, you know? Yeah. So,
I mean, I feel like we've been consistent with our criticisms of Xbox. We keep saying the last generation they almost literally did nothing.
Yeah, that generation. Yeah, but then we asked that, it's like, what big new game did they come out with last generation? New IP?
It was none.
I think Adam was
Sunset
trying to say
Overdrive, but it wasn't first party.
Yeah, exactly. No, nothing. You know. Wait, hey, well, hold on. The goat, the game that created everything. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Rise, yeah.
Right.
Oh man, the original Breath of the Wild.
And,
you know.
Man, it's and we talked about Starfield. It's like, it's one of the games that some of us are looking forward to, but they delayed it, and we talked about how when they delayed it the first time in from November. Well, I don't know if it was the first time, but when they delayed it from November, when they had a concrete date to when they said, first half of 2023, and then it was the video game awards, and then we called them out for not being there. And then some, I'm going to take shots on some of our cast members saying, "Oh, they didn't show anything because they didn't want to show the FTC any new stuff to hamper." Yeah, that sounds ridiculous now, right? Because they're literally announced a whole bunch of other stuff, including Hi-Fi Rush, and now they have a press conference in June, and it's crazy. It's crazy all the stuff that at all the lengths. But we called them out. At least some of us called them out for it because they didn't show up at the Video Game Awards, and it was pretty weird. And I said, well, if they had Starfield ready, this would be a good show to announce it. And they said, oh no, we want to have its own showcase. Okay. And then they had another showcase where it didn't even have it. And I think that's when they said that. And then nothing, silence. I'm like, yeah, this shit's getting delayed again. Oh, what happened? Oh, now it's coming out in September. So yeah, man, we always call them out when they do this kind of bullshit. It's just, we call them out. Halo, every time we talk about Halo Infinite, it's always to bash on it.
Yep, pretty much.
And that's their
pretty much. And that's yeah. And then remember, for some of you young, like not young guys, but for some of the people who are listening to us who are like newer, like Throwdown listeners specifically that join us this generation, right? We were called the Pony Down for almost an entire generation, for PlayStation 4. Because we called out Microsoft on their bullshit. So we've never gone slack on them, The
only person we've ever, quote unquote, blacklisted from anything to do with us was an Xbox fanboy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So Throwdown also E3
because he was, and that's specifically because he was being disrespectful to people within the community here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We had. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Also E3 news again, Mike. What does Xbox always do? What is the Xbox saying among the fanboys? Wait till E3. Wait till E3. We've been saying that for 10 fucking years.
Oh, yeah. We've been. I am convinced it was us who started the meme.
Probably.
What? Wait. Let me guess. Wait for E3, right? Wait for E3, and then they did. That's all they did.
Yeah. We probably did start that fucking meme. We've been doing this forever, Yeah, wait till E3. And then I remember there was one Xbox showcase where they literally said that before the E3 show started. Oh man, wait till next year. I'm like, this one hasn't started yet. What the fuck? It's crazy. So yeah, we've been calling out Xbox since Throwdown began. So yeah, again, and those Xbox guys weren't happy with us. So we definitely hold those motherfuckers accountable.
And I do want to mention in over here in the chat, everyone listening, everyone paying attention. Most of our fans try to guess which persuasion most of them have.
Come on, guys, you already know. You know what you guys are. Let's be real.
There's a reason why everyone hates Brett in the comments.
Yeah, let's just say, and again, I love all you guys, right? But if somebody goes in the comments right now, in the chat right now, and talk shit about Xbox, you guys are going to be generally okay. Say some shit about PlayStation, see what happens. Oh, man. I know, Jay Shep, but... yeah, because there are some people that are giving Jay Shep, for you guys listening, he says the question wasn't aimed at the panel. No, because you're talking about the actual people that are like biased towards Xbox and stuff, right? Yeah, we get that, and there is some of that for sure. Giving them a lot of leeway, No, man, we don't play that around here. Nothing to hustle but tumble. We don't do that shit.
Well, there's always propaganda machines for each side. Yeah, that always that's their whole shtick. That's what they do. That's what they do, because if they veer away from one side and attack their own, they're going to be ostracized by their community.
Yep. And
that's just how it is. They cultivate the community, and they get ostracized if they ever veered away from it. And that's why with us, we've ostracized everyone that would have taken offense to us taking jabs at either of those companies. So that's what that's just how it is.
Yeah, man. No, we will never ever be known as the Nintendo Down. Fuck that shit. You know.
Do you think? Do you think a site that's called Windows Central is gonna be pro Sony?
Yeah.
No,
And again, full disclosure, because Jez and I work for the same parent company. I have no problem with Jez, but he is definitely of a certain persuasion when it comes to the consoles. So there's no doubt about that. I respect the guy. I'm cool with him. I consider him an industry friend or whatever. But yeah, the dude is a fucking Xbox guy for sure.
Oh yeah, he does. He definitely has a preference. Yeah.
Yeah. What if I wouldn't want to be sponsored by Nintendo because then I'd be their fucking slave. Fuck that shit.
Dude.
I would not do any association with Nintendo. They're a terrible company. I wouldn't want to. No. Fuck that.
By the way, if you ever want to see if Tony ever does go into the Nintendo Kool-Aid, if he doesn't roll his eyes whenever Super Smash Brothers is mentioned, then the fix is in.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, Smash Brothers is a great fighting game. That's how
just
you know.
say no. Just say that it's a fighting game.
Oh yeah.
You call it a fighting game.
Yes. That's how you know I've been bought off. Yeah, because the Nintendo came to my crib like $10 million. Then I'm like, wee.
Who are they gonna announce next in the cast?
Wait, what would you call Smash Brothers then? A piece of shit.
Oh, dude.
No, it's a fucking party brawler. It's not a fighting game,
Yeah.
It's not a fighting game. It's a party brawler, All right, let's get on with it, man. More questions. Dumeke, who's been joining us. He also showed up a little late because of daylight savings too, they got that shit down there, man.
New Zealand, they don't care about the farmers. They're like, we're worried about saving Minas Tirith right now.
Yeah, shout out to New Zealand, man, for life. All right, first question here. All this talk about ray tracing and which console could do it better ahead of the release of the new systems. What happened? It seems all the hype around this feature has died. So what quote unquote next gen feature across all console generations do you feel was the biggest game changer and which was the biggest non-event? Okay, so let's talk about this. I was like, ooh, I want to answer this question, right? Because to me, I haven't lost any of my hype for ray tracing. I see that shit, I'm like, woohoo, let's fucking go. Like playing Spider-Man and shit. I purposely go to buildings just to see that shit. I'm like, man, like to me, ray tracing, that's such a cool fucking feature of this generation. Yes, I know it's been around, but I didn't experience it until this generation, And I've even got to a point where it's like, and this is also why I started leaning more towards PC, because I'm like, I want my ray tracing and I want my high frame rates. Like on console, you can only get one or the other, unless you're Insomniac, because they're fucking gods. But in most cases, like, you get your ray tracing or you get your 60 frames. I like both, so I try to play more games on PC because then I get my ray tracing. That shit is fucking amazing, Like, obviously the effect isn't as impressive if you're like, playing The Witcher. It's just like a fucking swamp. But if you go into water, you're like, ooh, look at this shit. But like in a city, like fucking, Night City, like from Cyberpunk, you're like, fuck. I could just look at that shit for hours. It's fucking amazing, So I do think, to me at least, the ray tracing did live up to the hype, and it's one of the best features for consoles this generation for sure. I just wish you could get both, the ray tracing and the high frames, because it is now. Yes, obviously you can still play if games at 30 frames a second, but now with so many games, you're just used to 60 frames now with new systems, But that's what PCs are for,
Yeah. I mean, even like a game like Spider-Man, you can do both, but it has to be the resolution hit.
Yeah, but at least do it good. They have the 1440p version and shit.
Yeah, they actually managed to make it run at like, what was it, like 40 or 60 with the ray tracing running?
Yeah. It's like 1440p variable. Like, again, Insomniac, man, fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, they managed to make both of those. Like, what was it, that and Ratchet got it too?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Ratchet did.
So
yeah, J-Shep, man, he can't tell you what he's working on. He cannot.
No, I can't tell you what I'm working on. But one thing I got to do is say, side note, the art director from Mojang Games, that dude is a beast. I just found that dude's artwork pretty recently.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit. He's pretty good. He's kind of channeling Otomo.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Blitzko's for the amount of fanboy hype it created is barely mentioned. Oh no, I agree with you. Like people aren't really talking about it because some people on the other side were just using that as like ammo and shit. I just think it's a cool fucking feature. It's
a nice feature. It looks cool when it works, but I mean at the same time, it's like
I just wish it was more consistent though. That's all. With consoles.
Yeah, and you also like you get different variations of it. It's like, oh hey, you know the ray tracing doesn't work from this distance. Other than that, it's screen space, and then everything from this one is or the refresh rate in the reflections is at 30 frames per second.
Yeah.
Or it's like a lower resolution.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, granted, I haven't actually played any. Well, my laptop actually does ray tracing, so but I haven't played it. But I haven't played any games that have actually on it lately that have really taken advantage of any of those features yet. So, but
you mentioned Stray don't got ray tracing.
I don't have Stray on my PC.
Okay.
So I have it on PlayStation, OG PlayStation 4, which it looks nice. It looks nice, screen space. It's all good. But yeah, we'll see what I think when I actually get a console that can do it, or get a game on my PC that can do it.
Yeah. The thing is, go ahead.
How y'all Halo fans feeling about the ray tracing coming over to Halo Infinite?
No, they need to fix other stuff before that.
No, they got to make the ray tracing work. That's all.
Yeah, I'm with Tony. I really like the ray tracing. Whenever it's an option available for a game, especially on Spider-Man, that shit looks crazy. But I do want to go back to the question. Blitz asked, what next gen feature across all consoles do you feel is the biggest game changer? And I feel like we haven't gotten there yet. It's hard to tell because we can only project, but we still haven't seen quote unquote next gen games. We got Ratchet and Clank, so maybe it's the loading stuff with the SSD. Maybe that's the game changer, because by far that's the only thing that's stood out from the whole generation so far.
Yeah, I mean that's his next question. But for this one, we could just jump to the next question because he asked us what game changer across all consoles do you feel was the biggest game changer. But we've answered that before. Like I think the last big one was the jump to HD. That's when you could see the visual difference. Like, oh shit, this is not like what came before. After
online,
online that was a big one. It was during that era. I think that's when we saw the last big changes because
Rumble.
Yeah. If you want to go back further, analog sticks, that was pretty big, But yeah, we've answered that part before. But yeah, let's get to the next question because this one's fun. With the cry to drop cross-gen games currently playing RE demo while thinking about this, very cool. Are we setting ourselves up to be disappointed / underwhelmed when current gen games are the standard and games don't meet our next gen expectations? What I mean by this is while we could get some graphical bells and whistles by being PS5, Xbox Series only, AAA games are still following the tried and true formulas that have been around since PS3 360 days. What would it take for you to go, fuck yeah, now this is next-gen gaming? I'm glad you asked this question because it is getting harder now. Like you said, games are kind of following a specific formula because that's what sells and that's what people are kind of used to. If you want to see experimental shit, you got to buy some indie games, but those obviously aren't pushing graphics or anything. So it's becoming the thing that we probably want. We've been talking about this forever. It's like it would be cool to have like smarter AI, but even that's tricky too because I honestly think because we've had games like Fear that had dope AI, right? But I think most people don't want their AI to be too smart because the games won't be fun, So they got to kind of weirdly keep them in a certain place. I think we can have better AI. But for me, the thing that would probably realistically, I'm not because I don't want to go into crazy hypotheticals. If Brett was here, he'd be coming up with all sorts of wild shit, I just want to see more games that don't, if I could see a next gen game, open world, right? With not a single instance of someone going through a fucking crack, I'd be like, oh shit, this is a game changer right now. No elevator rides, no like just one random like cutscene in between like gameplay. Like if you give me like really, really, really fast loading, that'd be like, okay, we're here right now. Because, and I bring that up because that's the shit that makes me feel like I'm playing a last gen game. Like when I was playing Ragnarok, I'm like, okay, this is obviously last fucking gen with all these goddamn hidden loading screens. So give me a game without loading screens, I'll be like, yep, this is next gen.
All the loading screens, all the in between world.
Yeah,
it was annoying, man, because obviously it was designed with the PS4 in mind. So even if the PlayStation could hack, not going through those things, they had those conversations and stuff like that were kind of forced through because you needed to go into an in between world to be consistent with the other console.
Yeah.
So just going into okay, he's like, Atreus, we're going to Helheim, and then just open the door and boom, Helheim right there.
Yeah.
I agree. That for me would be the game changer that I would look forward to. But I do want to give a shout out to Blitz on mentioning the tried and true formulas of the PS3 and 360 days. And that's definitely it. A lot of what we're seeing today, and we talked about this in the past. It's the 360 and the PS3 days sort of it's just been redone for 2 generations now.
Yeah,
that's just how it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
No, nothing much to add. Carlos just hit every single point that I was going to hit, and explains exactly why I don't enjoy AAA games anymore. It's like I've already played these games. Like they've been the same for the last 2 generations. So like, I'm not going to play the same game for the 3rd time, So AAA games just don't change that much. So I'm like, okay, I'm clocking out. But in terms of the question, it's a really difficult question because again, you won't be seeing it in games like God of War. You will see it in games that are not that. But what the new thing can be is a good question. Like to me, the only like next gen thing I've seen is been in the Shadow of Mordor games when they had that Nemesis system. To me, that was next gen. It's like, okay, they've actually found a way to make the AI actually interesting and have some sort of interesting way that you can actually interact with the game rather than just, okay, the enemies are enemies, you died, nothing really changes, nothing really happens. It's just, rather than death being a rewind, death is just a part of the process, Because like, again, in most games, when you die, it just rewinds the game, basically, It's like, okay, you died, let's just go back like 5 minutes and start you off here again, you'll be fine. Whereas in Shadow of Mordor, it's like, okay, you died, it's not the end of the game, it's just part of the game itself, Like, let's actually take you forward from there and actually see what happens after you died, I thought that was going to be a thing, and then Warner Brothers decided to patent it, and then not make games with it afterwards, which is really weird.
Stupid.
So now I'm just stuck here where it's like, okay, there's no Nemesis system, there's nothing, it's just waiting, It sucks.
Yeah, it's a damn shame. All right, so what about Chris? What would be something that would make you go, shit, this is next gen?
Well, my dream ever since Red Faction is being able to just destroy anything in the fucking environment. Like if it's like, oh, this building over here, it's like just, and then like you're in a shooter or something and you blow off a piece of the building and somebody else blows up another piece, eventually it takes so much structural damage it falls down. That would be one thing. Also, like I know it'd take a lot of work, but I'd love to be able to crash into or be able to break into any house or building you see in an environment, right? Like they're real homes and real offices and real buildings. So if you had like a superhero game, how like in the comics, totally like Invincible, they're crashing through a building and it crashes into another building. I want that shit. I want to experience that. Like I knock a guy into a building or he knocks me into a building. I'm in somebody's fucking office. Like, oh shit, I'm all fucked up. Let me hide in this building or something, Like that would be, if somebody pulled that off, I'd be like, that's the most amazing shit I've ever seen. I wanted that for like 20 fucking years and I got it. This is amazing.
Yeah, imagine like you have a game that we're not gonna see this for a while. Like you could literally go into every single building. Like
Yeah,
yeah, and every building.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about just every hut. I'm talking about like a building. You know?
And then being different, not just
Yeah.
copies of each other, where it's like, oh, we've been through this building 100 times.
Yeah. But
Yeah. I'm the same way. One thing, and I've talked about this before also, I was kind of bummed out when what's it called? Starfield told us that they weren't going to do this, and we've seen games do this before. I think we had this discussion, but I really wanted it from like a super like well produced AAA experience, and that's just a space game where you start in a planet that's different from all other planets, and it's unique, and you can get on a ship and actually fly out of the planet and go to the planet that you want to, from the ground, fly to escape, terminal, or what is it? What terminal velocity, whatever it is. Just escape from
velocity.
escape velocity,
Yeah.
go out to space, and just go to whatever the hell you want to go, like that kind of stuff.
Elite Dangerous. It has that.
Well, I said like those mega AAA kind of experiences, but yeah, there are definitely, because I No Man's Sky you can do this as well. I think yeah, you can do No Man's Sky as well, and but part of the other experience is just the kind of Fallout aspect of it, which is something, because obviously Mass Effect would have been the best one to do this.
Oh, yeah.
Because it does everything else that I love, but now it just Mass Effect is on the wayside.
All right, Manny. What about you? What would make you think like, oh shit, this is next gen?
Oh, OBS went bad at me.
Yeah.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can still hear you. Yeah.
What would make me think next gen is the greatest?
No, what feature would make you go, oh shit, this is next gen?
I don't know. I mean, to be honest, it's like I remember hearing before, like the what felt something like next gen was that I guess the AI stuff that they did on that Shadows of Mordor game, but I don't think I've seen anything like that attempted again, because obviously what Brian said, that they sort of locked it down. But yeah, I feel like everybody sort of like, when it comes to AI, there's really not much that's advancement as far as like little things going on in the background, as everybody's sort of somewhat doing the same things. Enemies shoot at you and they run at you, and and you can't really fully call what is done in Elden Ring actually AI.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times they're just keeping to certain patterns, and you just sort of have to decipher them. So I mean, yeah, I would like to see. I guess I would, if there was a some sort of reactive AI that literally did something that things that you didn't expect them to do. I even like the stuff that they did in Alien. That was also pretty impressive too. The pathfinding system that they did in Alien. What was that?
Isolation.
Alien Isolation. The way that thing would stalk you around and look in different places, and it would get if you keep on hiding in the same places, it starts to figure out that where you're hiding eventually. Good stuff. So yeah, I would say that it would probably be an advancement in AI. Because here's the thing: when it comes to graphics are always going to get better. The next generation of graphics are going to look better than the last one, just the way things go. So, but yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Moving on. All right. So one subset. Am I the only one that was really hoping for some Dino Crisis news? I've never played Dino Crisis, so I don't really have any hype for it.
I don't think you're going to get Dino Crisis because Capcom's going to release that Exoprimal game.
Oh God, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's what you're getting. If you want Capcom with dinosaurs, that's
space dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's coming out of a hole in space, and you're wearing Iron Man armor. I don't know. I get Anthem vibes from it. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that shit. No, I mean, look at it. It's like a bunch of guys in power armor, and they go out in a city, and a black hole opens up, and dinosaurs pour out like somebody was pouring water on the city, right? But it's dinosaurs, and they run around and you kill them. And that's the game. That's at least that's what the trailer showed. I didn't get any other. What is the story here? What is happening?
Yeah.
And you know things are dire when you have such a cool concept. It was like, okay, you're like a agent with power armor. There's dinosaurs, but yet all you can think of is just Anthem. And it's like,
Oh
gosh.
God. No.
So yeah, and also I was also looking for Dino Crisis, but it's more of like a wishful thinking type thing, where it's like it's there with Deep Down, where it's like just maybe there's a chance we might see something, but deep down inside, I know we won't, but just maybe.
Mob Hits goes, if you want to see Dino Crisis, go watch 65. Fuck that movie, man. Like I want bring Terra Nova back. How about that? You know, it's the same concept.
Oh man,
You know,
Trevor Noah.
no.
yeah, I don't even know who that is.
That was the former host of the Daily Show. He was after of the what's his face,
Stewart.
I stopped.
Jon Stewart.
I stopped watching Daily Show after Craig Kilborn left, man. So I don't know these guys. You know? and I always hated Jon Stewart. Remember he was on MTV and shit. Smarmy asshole then, smarmy asshole on Daily Show. When they brought him on Daily Show, I was like, fuck this guy. I remember this guy from that fucking MTV Beats show. You know. So yeah, Craig Kilborn for life, man.
I'm sure most people don't even know
Yeah,
who Craig
they're like-
Kilborn is.
No, they probably don't. They probably weren't even born, you know. But I remember Craig Kilborn, you know. Anyone playing the EA Monster Hunter game? I heard good stuff about it.
Wild Hearts.
Yeah, Wild Hearts. Nah, I'm good. Walter Mercado for life, Mob Hits.
You already know, man.
Oh man. All right. Next question, also from one subset. If Starfield isn't a runaway hit at launch, will Bethesda be put on the back burner like BioWare? No, but because EA, the reason we say that is because EA is just ruthless and shit, you know.
Yeah.
But if Starfield isn't hit like it's supposed to, Bethesda still has a lot of other games they could count on, so I'm not gonna be worried about them.
They're still cashing Elder Scrolls Online checks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Starfield. I don't think it's going to be a. Well, I can't say it's going to be a runaway success, but I can't. I don't think it's not going to be like a runaway failure.
Yeah, I don't think the game's gonna bomb. No.
Yeah, so it just depends on whether it's good or not, and if it's not, they still got a lot of stuff like Fallout and Elder Scrolls that people really really love that they can fall back on, which they are going to fall back on because Elder Scrolls is the next thing up.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm not gonna worry about that. All right, and the last question of the night, a sponsored question by Mr. Rumudith. He is sponsoring Tumeke's question. Question is, if you could only play games from 3 studios, which 3 do you choose? This is development studios teams and not overall publishers. So no Sony, Xbox, Nintendo, or even EA. If you're looking at the likes of Naughty Dog, 343, Retro, or Respawn, etc. And you need to consider the type of games they put out and the cadence of release based on their current output. Okay, very specific. I like that. I like specificity. So yeah. Go ahead.
So you can't pick a Sony development studio or a Microsoft development studio.
No, you can, but you just can't say Sony.
Yeah, you can't say Sony or Xbox. Yeah. I think that's fair because you want a specific studio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so I've been thinking about this question all day, and it's been difficult because if this was a few years ago, it'd be an easy question to answer, right? I could be like BioWare. I could say,
Naughty Dog.
Naughty Dog, Visceral Game. Well, I can say Naughty Dog now. Not Naughty Dog. I could say Insomniac. This one now. I could say that unequivocally. A Naughty Dog. Let's see who else. But if we were going back in time, it'd be easy. I'd be like Capcom, Konami. You'd be all right. But nowadays, companies are kind of inconsistent with their games. To me at least. But I'll have to circle back to me. But yeah, Insomniac for sure. All right, Carlos, you got 3 in mind?
I'm trying to think. Insomniac is definitely one. One for me. Platinum is probably the second, and The third is tricky.
What is it about Platinum that you like recently, not overall, like recently?
Well, Scalebound, was a great game.
Oh man.
Well, they just, they're kind of they don't make huge, super, AAA type games. They just release, like consistently good AA experiences where, if they're kind of consistent with the way we release games, like Nier Automata, the Astral Chain. They released, got a couple of good games on the rail. Was it Bayonetta also them?
Bayonetta's them.
So they got some diversity, but very consistent. So that's two. Okay, I got a third one. Fuck it, From Software. Oh, sorry, Chris.
Yeah, From Soft. Yeah. Okay, that's my
No,
second.
you could y'all can have
duplicates.
It's not like you. Yeah, you can have repeats. It's about what you think, what you want to play.
Yeah. All right, so that's two for me then. Insomniac and From Software for sure.
And it's not because I was. Oh, go ahead.
I had one question. Does the studio have to still exist?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Has to be an active studio.
I was going to say Japan studio.
Yeah, I mean, real quick with the From Software, I'm not even the biggest fan of a lot of the Souls games, but they're always. But what I do know is that they're consistent. They're always good, and motherfucking Elden Ring 2 whatever the DLC or Elden Ring 2 is gonna come out eventually, and that's what I want to play.
Yeah. All right, Chris. What about you? Or what studios? Yeah, what's 3 studios? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I definitely say From Software with Carlos. I'd say Capcom. And
you know what? Yeah, because the thing is, because I'm thinking about old Capcom. Obviously, that'd be instant, right? But Capcom's doing pretty good nowadays. All things considered.
We've enjoyed their latest stuff. I mean, I'm not going to play Street Fighter 6, but I enjoyed Monster Hunter World, the Resident Evils.
They've been good. Yeah.
There's stuff I could skip. I don't care for Exo Primal. I'm interested in that game with the moon and that super futuristic shit with that little girl. That looks cool, but I need to see more. So I'm like, I'll reserve judgment. But I'm happy. Like, I played that RE4 demo, which, by the way, the whole game apparently leaked this weekend.
Oh, really?
Some UK reviewers leaked the fucking PC version. It's everywhere. It's all over now. That's out there. But yeah, I played the demo and I was like, yeah, give me this. I'm very impressed. I played I was pretty happy with Dead Space, but this what they've done in the RE4 remake, I'm like, okay, I'm happy. I was like, don't ruin it. Don't fucking touch this game. Yeah, but no, they apparently they have not fucked it up.
How's your boy sounding? Welcome.
Oh, you don't get to him yet in the demo. But I will wait. I'm trying to avoid spoilers, which is even harder now. If you go on YouTube, people are fucking playing the full game and posting gameplay from the leaked footage.
When is the game coming out?
It's the 24th.
Oh shit! All right.
So the PC version is leaked as of today, and that's making the rounds. So just if you want to avoid spoilers, it's gonna be very hard. Oh wait, what was the third one? I was see, I'm torn because I don't really trust Rockstar anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm just
you're only gonna get one game for like the next 10 years.
Yeah. The GTA 6, which I don't believe is gonna be good. I just don't believe it. I just think they've changed too much internally. They've lost too much talent. They lost Dan Houser. I don't think that game is going to be written or I'm not saying it won't play well. I'm just like the writing and stuff. I don't. I'll just say I reinvented for modern audiences, and that's where I exit.
Yeah. When you hear that phrase, that's how you know where it's going to go. So yeah. So
I'm going to stick
Rockstar,
with you guys and go Insomniac.
Yeah, but Rockstar, Chris, it would have absolutely back it just a couple of years ago. You know,
No, absolutely.
yeah, it would have been like without question. You know, again, Red Dead Redemption 2, that's my game of the generation. Last generation, holy shit. What a great
Fantastic.
game. Yeah, that's a game right there, man. I've talked, not to go too off topic, but, when I bring that game up in Assassin's Creed Valhalla just to prove a point, right? It took me the same amount of time to beat those games, right? About 130 hours, right? I was in agony playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla about it. I'm like, can I please end this? God damn it. I got the platinum in that because it would be faster than getting 100% and everything, right? I must have played the same amount of time for Red Dead Redemption 2, about 130 hours. I loved every single second of it, It goes to show you. And again, that game's not that fast paced, It's very slow paced, but you feel like you're in that fucking world, man. It is so good. Right. That's a fucking game right there. That game, that was another one of those games where I played. I'm like, this is why I love open world games. This is the shit I'm missing in open world games now.
This is pod racing.
Yeah, exactly, because like most open world games, it's just nowadays just let's throw 50 fucking million things at you. Let's have the entire map just littered with a bunch of dots. And this one is like, all right, scale it back,
Yo, Tony.
Yeah.
Yo, Tony. One of the worst things about fucking open world games. Might not even be exclusive to open world games, but when you start up a game and you press start, and there's just like a million fucking things in the menus, where it's like, and sometimes when it's trying to guide you, it's like it highlights one portion. It's like, oh, you can do this to do this, and then you put next. And then if you go down here, you could do this to do this, and there's just a whole bunch of them. Man, that shit gets annoying. By the way, I do want to mention I'm changing one of my picks.
Excuse me?
Chris, Capcom has to replace something. I think Platinum. It's going to replace Platinum.
Platinum games is not that consistent.
Yeah, The Capcom they release way more games, and Monster Hunter eventually has to come out.
Yeah, how much fun did we have in Monster Hunter World?
Monster Hunter World, that was like obviously my favorite online game of last generation for obvious reasons.
It's fantastic, yeah.
That's fucking awesome, So those are my Insomniac, From Software, and then Capcom,
We got the same ones.
We ended up with the same answers.
All right, man, give us some variety here. If you have variety. If you have it.
Well, I can't. I think I have the same the dilemma that you were having initially.
Yeah.
Where it's a lot of the companies can't be like, they're fairly inconsistent or making games that I'm just not interested in. I only put Insomniac games in there because there's two possibilities that there's definitely one that I'm going to be buying a console for, which is the Spider-Man game. And I'm fairly interested in what's going to go on with the Wolverine game. But I can't say anything else for any of the other current Sony studios. I don't have any interest in the Horizon games or what is it, The Last of Us. I was already good with The Last of Us 1. So
God of War.
And God of War, I was just like, all right, don't need that anymore either. So so that's just process of elimination. As far as third parties, right now I'm not really interested in most of the things that are being released by any of the third parties. So I'm probably just going to keep it at one for now until somebody decides to throw me as what's his face?
Manny, I got one.
Oh, who's that?
Kojima Productions.
No, I wouldn't put that on there.
Even though with that shirt.
Bridges, but no, I mean, here's the thing, like, I don't like Death Stranding 2 was announced. All right, I'm not really like chomping at the bit at that game.
To be fair, they only got one game, so we can't. That would.
Yeah, they have only had one game. I mean, they've only had one game, and they're making a sequel to that one game, and then whatever the thing that they're doing with Xbox. But I don't. I can't put them on that, like, I can't just based off of the fate, because again it's Kojima on his own, so who's to say Death Stranding 2 ain't gonna be anything. I can't on good conscience put them on that list of like, oh, I gotta have what they're making. No, that's And let's see, I haven't played any of the Capcom games in a long time. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what gets on there. But as of now, it's just going to be on Insomniac Games.
All right. Real quick before I go to Brian, I want to read some of the answers here in the chat. Assyrian Air Force goes Insomniac, Square Enix, and Capcom.
Square Enix is a good one.
Yeah, Square Enix, that's a good one. Yeah. Blitz goes Kojima Productions, Monolith Soft, and Naughty Dog. Monolith Soft is Xeno, right? Like they make those games, the Xenogears, Saga, whatever the fuck they're called. Xenosaga. What are the new ones called?
I'll look it up.
Oh, Xenoblade?
Xenoblade. There you go. Yeah, I went back. That's how.
Yeah,
that's how
I was like Xenogears.
I was like Xenogears, Xenosaga.
Yeah, they did Xenosaga. Now they're doing Xenoblade Chronicles.
Good stuff.
Games.
Let's see who else has any. I don't see any more here. All right, Brian. What are your three?
Sorry to disappoint you guys. I can only think of one, and that's Capcom.
Okay, fair enough. Manny only had one, so that's all right.
Because at least with Capcom, you get like the Street Fighter games, you get the Resident Evil games, and you get the Monster Hunter games. So that's consistent. It was going to be, is it Violation? But after the last Saints Row game, I was like,
Volition.
Yeah, Volition.
Ooh, no.
Yeah, I wouldn't have chosen them after Agents of Mayhem.
No.
They did the Red Faction games and OG Saints Row, so I'm like, okay, that's something because it was meant to be Rockstar, but then it's like, as Chris said, GTA 6. So I'm like, okay, I'll go with like Rockstar but clean. So I'm like, okay, Saints Row, but then it's like, no, last Saints Row was ass. It's like, oh gosh.
But why not say the developers of the Hogwarts games? Those guys have made consistently good games.
Avalanche?
Yeah, they did the Mad Max game. They did the Just Cause series, right?
Avalanche. I think that's actually a good shout. I missed them completely. Yeah, Capcom and Avalanche. I think those are the only two.
Nice. Logic Win says for him it would be RGG. That's the Yakuza team. Remedy and Bethesda. All right, good stuff. Let me just keep going. Make sure I didn't miss anybody.
I'd need more. I mean, the history of I like Remedy's titles, but it's not again like the sort of Kojima thing where it's like I can't really put them on there as a dependable source. But
they only have like two big titles, right?
Yeah, I mean, what do they have? Alan Wake, what's Quantum Break,
Quantum Control.
Well, they are making Max Payne. The thing is, they also do. One thing people forget is that they got the rights to do Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes.
Yeah. Mighty Nerd says his is Capcom, Guerrilla Games, and Vanillaware. All right, Vanillaware. Shout out to them.
Yeah, Vanillaware. Well, didn't they have that one game that bombed it was like a high school like robot game?
No, I don't know.
Like it was like a high school drama game, but it also had like they controlled giant robots.
Yeah.
So
didn't Avalanche make Sub-Zero Mortal Kombat Mythologies? Did they? Oh.
Did they? I mean, everybody's got to get started somewhere.
Yeah, that's true.
Naughty Dog did Way of the Warrior.
Yeah. Rise of Murder.
Other games. I think they did a Genesis game or two as well.
Yeah. Blitz says about Monolith Soft, they work on a heap of stuff, lots of talent. I only know them from Xeno
Blade.
Yeah, they only know them from that, so sorry about that.
Xenogear.
Again, I just want to say Xenogear or Xenosaga, All right. Rocksteady is iffy right now. Yeah, I don't know about Suicide Squads, man. What didn't bomb, Mighty Nerd? Manny, you said something bombed?
Yeah, didn't that funky that game that they did was like with the kids in the high school and they control robots and stuff like that? It's like a turn-based sort of like RTE game. I don't know.
It's sold over 800,000 copies. What game is this now?
I don't know. It was like one that they showed like a reveal or something, and yeah.
13 Sentinels.
Is that it? I can't remember.
I don't recall that name. Infinity Ward. That'd be
No. Then not anymore.
Not anymore. Who makes the Division? They'd be his other one.
Oh, they're what's their name? Let me go look it up.
Yeah,
Division.
Yeah. And Adam like Rockstar because of table tennis.
They are massive.
Massive. Okay, yeah. So there you go. No one picked 343.
Maybe Adam would have said the Coalition though.
Yeah, the Coalition. They make gears.
Make the butt of gears. This is it. This is it.
Yo, by the way,
Cat.
Yeah. Off topic, the internet, man. They already posted the big scene from tonight's Last of Us. Wow, you guys don't fuck around. I have to say, it looks just like the game. You know what I'm talking about. This is season finale. You know how the game ends. That looked pretty accurate. But it's like, guys,
is it the scene that involves a truck?
No, it involves halls.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I'm trying to be, but you motherfuckers played Last of Us.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I thought you meant it involved a golf club.
Not yet. That's season 2. Oh man, Bella Ramsey has that Emmy locked up, in my opinion. We'll see about that. Podcat. All right, people.
Does a good job.
Yeah. Short round one tonight. I didn't realize he was an adult, so good for him.
Well, yeah, he's our age, dude.
I didn't know he was still working. I thought he stopped working in the 80s,
no, that's the thing.
Yeah.
This was like his first movie in like 30 years. Like,
wow.
He wasn't able to get work in years.
That's crazy. I didn't know he was.
Brendan Fraser also won too.
Yeah, and I didn't know him and Brendan Fraser were in Encino Man together.
Yeah, they were.
That's pretty fun. Yeah, good on him. Short round. Good for you, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, so his first movie back in like 30 years or less than that.
Yeah.
And he wins an Academy Award. And then Brendan Fraser, after essentially being blacklisted by Hollywood, wins one.
Yeah.
Shout out to George of the Jungle.
Yeah, right. Is that one? The Michelle Yeoh movie one, right?
Yeah, everything everywhere at all at once.
Yeah, I had a feeling because that's the Hollywood darling movie. Makes sense.
I mean, it's from what I hear, it's a decent film. It's done pretty well. Also, it's rare to see a sort of sci-fi action movie winning best award like that.
Yeah.
Right. Avatar didn't even win that, did they?
No, it got nominated though, which I'm surprised by. Just being nominated.
It won special effects though, which makes sense.
Makes sense. Yeah, that had the best special effects for sure.
Yeah.
Because Avatar, you know what Avatar does that a lot of these other movies don't. They actually have practical effects mixed in with CG. They don't really do that too much nowadays.
No, they usually it's because they want to edit everything later, right?
Yeah. Yeah. J Shep goes, me and Tony, the only people in the world who've seen Encino. Maybe seen it. Chris has seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I've seen that too.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, we're old. We've seen that shit.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember,
we liked Airheads.
I was about to say Airheads. Yeah,
Yeah.
What was the question? It's like who would win, like Lemmy or God? Trick question. Lemmy is God. Oh man, good stuff. All right, people, we're done. Another good show from the Throwdowns. Carlos, do you have anything to plug?
I don't know. Yeah, if you guys are interested or are watching the Last of Us TV show on HBO, we have a review show for thecoalition.com. That's the Coalition with a K, where we talk and discuss The Last of Us. We're going to be reviewing the season finale tomorrow. So make sure to stay tuned on the Coalition Gaming YouTube channel or thecoalition.com. That's the Coalition with a K, not a C. It's this is it. The season finale. Let's see how it ends. So far, it's been a good show. I wouldn't say it's amazing or anything, but it's really good. Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, man, they're really good. They're the best part of the show. But yeah, I still haven't seen the season finale, so probably catch that after the show. But we'll talk about that tomorrow. Make sure to stay tuned.
The Coalition. All right, good stuff. Also, wait, I think I have something to plug too. Okay, so yeah, last Friday, this episode's up now. I got to hang out with Mike from Mike's Book Reviews, but he has a side show called Mike's Media Reviews and stuff, because his main channel, he reviews books, talks about books and stuff, but he likes other stuff. And I've been following this guy for a while, and we know each other on Twitter. And I was on his show, and we just shot the shit for like 2 hours. It was awesome. We just talked about anything. Really good stuff, So go check that out. It's called Mike's Media Reviews over on YouTube. Episode's up now. We talked for like close to 2 hours just about movies and comics and all sorts of fun stuff. Basically 2 old men complaining about how media sucks now. So which is true. It's pretty bad right now. We were just reminiscing about the good old days, but we also talk about some good stuff that's still out now. Gold Logic wins. All you guys will like it. I think I started cursing within the first 30 seconds. I was like, am I gonna get your shit demonetized? Like, don't worry about it. Because on his main channel, he doesn't curse and stuff, even though he lets it out like once in a while. Good stuff, people. So make sure. We're done. Hopefully there won't be any more Microsoft Activision thing, but there probably will be. So keep those questions coming for sure. This will have to end eventually. Anyway, make sure you follow Throwdown on Twitch and Twitter. Join the Discord where the conversations and the rumors are always popping. And again, shout out to the Discord crew for keeping us updated on all the gaming news. And yeah, if you ever see anything that you want us to talk about, like that video, please ask us about it, man. We're here for you guys. So, keep us updated on all that good stuff. Throwdown, we are also on any podcast app on the planet. That's Throwdown Show towards Throwdown Show, throwdownshow.com. So listen to past episodes. And if you've been watching us on YouTube and enjoyed the content, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of when our premieres go live. Links to everything down below. Once again, I was your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I was joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you next time.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero.
Peace out.
And Brian Manjoma.
Yeah, crypto is totally a scam. It's best to keep all your money in a bank, because they're totally not going to rip you off.
Oh, man. All right, people. We will see you on Thursday. Later.
Laters.
Ladies.